Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Oh my goodness, I have been in it deep, and only in the last 20 minutes have I really felt the impact of the lessons. Oh my goodness. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. In the past 38 weeks, we have been picking a powerful word on Monday and working with it straight through, right till Friday, right up till Friday. And we look at these powerful words and we experience, because that's the word that we got this week, experience. And oh my goodness, right? It's incredible how in the sequencings these words are showing up on my plate. I don't always get what I want, but it's true. I do get what I need. We were talking a little bit yesterday that I am neither religious, neither am I spiritual, right? But I do understand that this world is working in a certain, I don't know, clockwork, in that set way of movement. And, we have small, if any, for some of us, right? Little spaces where we can make choices, where we can uh, initiate change for ourselves, where we can find that freedom to drum up a little bit of courage, to make a little bit of movement for ourselves. To each one of us, our own experience. That's the way it should be, our experience. And, in the lessons that I've gotten today, right, experience has been the main topic of conversation. I wouldn't think that in the content that I was watching today. I was trying to have a nice day. I was trying to entertain myself, right? Trying to get a little bit of ahead of the game, right? And, well, trying to come in and present my life, coming in to present my life, and finding that the day is just pulling me deeper and deeper and deeper into that experience of the day, right? And yeah, so I was just watching a lady here. I don't know her. I've never come across her content before, but she was talking about the eighth hermetic principle. I don't know. Do you see the confusion on my face? Right? Never heard of it before. But what she was talking about was something that I knew for myself, something that I could, in my own experience, see the evidence of happening around me. And as of late, when you look at the outside world and you look at those people who are in the limelight, who are looked up to, and maybe they're not looked up to and respected, but because they're the authority figure, right? We do keep an eye on them because when they make moves, we understand that they can make moves. She was talking about karma tonight. And, again, I'm not a very religious or spiritual person, but karma comes across the content, right? Every day in those lessons that I take, it comes across my path consistently and often because I am non denominational, right? I will not absorb some lessons purposely not to be impacted by influence that shouldn't be in my life because I'm in it, right? I'm in it. And, I work with things that do come across my path, right? Worked a little bit about in the karma. I understand, or I thought I did, a little bit about the karma, right? And this lady here just put off a light bulb in my head in that authority that people have over us, right? That they can put us in a situation. I've been put in this situation, oh my goodness, or tried to be put into this position. And thank goodness that I might have had some hindsight or some lessons in my pocket that I was able to push against that push. We talk about that quite often. What pushes up against us that we should, right? Let them know that, right? At the very least, we recognize that something or someone is pushing us or trying to corner us or trying to the terminology that comes to my mind because I've stepped into those lessons and I felt that expression directed at me in, you know, breaking in a wild horse, right? Or like this lady was talking about in karma, how we can, if we do it right, do it right. There's nothing right about it, right? If we do it right, we can influence people in a way that they can do our dirty work for us. Light bulbs, fireworks, spotlights, right off the hop. Because, right, I have been an experiencer in that movement. I have been, and I've taken it in, and again, thank goodness that some of those base values, even when I wasn't woke up to some of these ideas, shined through and kind of held me at bay from jumping in. Right? My dad used to say all the time, and my mom used to say all the time, if somebody told you to jump off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge? Right? It just seems so idiotic even to say something like that. But people do move by other people's directions, right? Sometimes it's through that influence, and sometimes that influence. Sometimes it's in that offering, right? Oh, right. If that person wasn't around, things would be so much better. Oh, this person's just giving me a headache. Just nothing about trouble, right? And the next thing you know, right, this person walks in your door and hands in their resume. Maybe they were an employee of yours and they hand in their resume and you go, oh my goodness, thank goodness that's off my plate, that I don't have to deal with that nasty woman or that terrible man, right? Out of the picture. When that person's not knowing that maybe, right, in those conversations, in expressing their dislikes or their disfavor in something, that somebody else took it upon themselves to ease their pain by doing the dirty work. And when they do, now this lesson, you guys, this lesson belongs to the alchemist. This lesson belongs to the alchemist, right? But this lesson was mine. This experience was my experience growing up. It was a big reason why I didn't wake up to a lot of these ideas until well into my 50s, right? I could have been here sooner. What did I miss out on? What was I stopped from achieving? What happened to those relationships that were meant to come into my life? And how am I sitting and how am I shining in the relationships that are in my life in this moment? Some of that is by my own choice, But some of that is my choice. But because of that influence, because of that conversation, because of that, right? That we talked a little bit about this yesterday, that good cop, bad cop. I think I did. Maybe Saturday on Instagram, we were talking a little bit about that, right? That those people that we do have those loyalties to, those people that we do love, right? That we have those strong connections to, that we don't even look at them as somebody that we should be looking at, right? That we should be looking at. These were recent lessons for me, only in the past half a dozen years. And, to wake up to some of those ideas that, to some of those people that meant everything to me, I didn't mean anything to them, right? It was only in possibly what I could have done in the dirty work, right? And hopefully there wasn't too much. I thought about it as she was talking. I'm looking back in my life, and right, I can think of episodes, but am I thinking of them all? And how bad are they? Now this is the experience that I've come to realize tonight. You know, I was so solid, that that I believed that it was that responsibility in our actions, those actions that we take against others, that we should be responsible for that, right? That we should be responsible for our actions, not so much our thoughts, right? Those thoughts can be painful, they can be heartbreaking, right? Traumatic, frustrating, infuriating, full of grief, but full of love and joy and fun and other things, right? If we're led that way, if we're put in a position where we can actually take those in as lessons to show us our rights, right? That I had every right to be happy, that I had every right to make those choices for myself, that I had every right to see things for what they were, for what they were. And yet, right, because of my trust in my family is everything, right? This is the way that I taught myself. It came from a novel called The Camerons. It was a Scottish family with a tough mum, right? And you know, she said, never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got. Never deny your own. And I took that as, right, you keep those family members tight. Even if they are poopers, even if they are tough or strict or unloving or abusive, right? If you don't feel that loving mutual connection that we all deserve in our lives, and right? And I had this mentality, never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got. There's nothing else for you. We're the only ones who will accept you. Be grateful for that. Be grateful for your family, right? And then to wake up, to understand that possibly, right, my family were making their own movement in that influence to get somebody else to do the dirty work for them. So, how can I say that we are responsible for our actions, because it is an action? Right? This lady, I don't even know her name. She's a lovely lady. Let me just scroll down here into the main description and see if it just offhandedly mentions her name, or in the comments that they mention her name right off the hop. I'm just, oh my goodness. And here it is. Action always speaks loudest, no matter how quiet you are about it. Get sneaky and not squeaky. Oh my, oh my, oh my goodness. Right? I was so solid in that idea, right? That you were going to get your just, right? Justice would be served in those ill actions that you do towards others. But what if that action is having somebody else do that actual action? Because she's saying that, right, the universe only looks at the actual action. I want to course correct that, or at least want to wake everybody up to that understanding, to that amazing tool, so we don't step into those positions, because that's what they are. They're positions that somebody else has designated for you and has groomed you to fit very nicely. You probably even feel comfortable in that. You might even revel in that, right? But it's not yours. It never was yours. It was just that breaking down of the wild horse, or somebody's perception of, right, where you were supposed to be, who you were supposed to serve, right? To hold that load. Here, I'll take that. Let me hold that for you, right? Let me take that kick. Oh my goodness. He would never do that. She would never say that. She's the sweetest person in the whole world, right? So this lesson woke me up to my own experience half an hour before I came live tonight, right? I haven't even exactly, it's quite a long lesson. Her video, oh, her video's less than a half an hour, but she got me in the first couple of sentences 100%, and that's the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to hit you like a freight train. It's supposed to smack you like a, right, Miley Cyrus's um, wrecking ball. Wrecking ball right upside the head, and that's exactly what it did for me, right? You're responsible for your actions. How is that misunderstanding? Because that will hurt us in our evolution. When we do that, that will hurt us in our movement forward, because somebody's moving forward thinking, oh, right, I don't have to worry about that, right? Joe is going to do that for me. Joe's going to be the bad guy. I'm going to come out of this smelling like roses because my hands weren't in that. And yet, right, you were whispering in their ear, congratulating them on, right, goading them on, maybe in your woes and, oh, right, I wish this. Oh, it's such a headache. I don't know how much more I can bear of this person, right? And you're not technically taking that action, but you know in what you're saying that you are influencing somebody else to take action on your behalf in a way that's going to hurt somebody, or turn somebody around in what they were meant to accomplish or what they were meant to do, or put them in a situation where they don't wake up ever, ever, because they are in such a negative state. They're such a negative state by intent that there's not a chance in hell for them. I know those people, right? Yeah, those people have stepped into my lives. Messed up, yes, they were. Big hearts, 100%, because I had nothing but big hearts as friends. We are all broken, right? We all have handicaps. Some of them are emotional, physical, mental, right? We all have handicaps. But we are responsible for our actions when it comes to our intent, right? And a declaration. Intent is an action. Wow. Intent is an action. There you go. There you go. Right? So all those borderlines, this is the way I'm saying it. Like I'm looking at my mother, right? The way her life was directed. And it created a personality. It created a person that she wasn't meant to be, right? It created a path for her life that she might have not have chosen for herself if she was able to be herself, right? We are all influenced by, right, our surroundings, right? And in our experiences. In our experiences. But in free choice, we should be able to choose those experiences. I did. I chose those experiences. I chose what was less painful, right? I chose what was less painful in the moment, right? Because what if that intent was to break a wild horse? What what if it was to break me and to put me, and this isn't in a victimhood kind of thing. This is reflection. This is shadow work, right? This is shadow work. You can feel that agitation in that revelation that I got, right? It's not the way that I want to feel, but I understand that the lessons and the understandings that come to me, not all of them I'm going to appreciate. Well, all of them I'm going to all of them I'm going to appreciate, all of them. But in the moment, so many of them are heartbreaking. So many of them are unbelievable, right? And again, because there are so many ideas out there, so many different experiences out there, so many different religions and political ideas and cultural ideas and family traditions. Oh my goodness, right? It makes sense that we would lose ourselves. I think that's the intent, is that we lose ourselves, right? Only because, right, we don't want to remember all that heartbreak, all that grief, all that pain, all that frustration, because we'll only pull it to the surface and experience it now. I have to say, that's okay, because it's only in the minute, right? It's only right now, me experiencing it, me feeling it, right? And maybe tomorrow I'll be in contemplation because it happened so late in the evening that I don't know, maybe I'll go to bed and I'll wake up in the morning with different understandings and a little bit of course correction that I need. But the way that it impacted me, right? And way it solidified some of my own ideas in my movement, right? I'm not out there. I wasn't out there looking for that evidence. I wasn't. But it came across my path. And I work with what comes across my path. That's the if that's the revelation of the day, the month, the year, then so be it. And right, it might be difficult, right? But I know it's for my own good, right? This whole experience in waking up to some of these ideas, right? It's just one lesson, right? I'm going like this because it's one step in front of the other. It's baby steps, right? And I can beat myself up for not having that lesson a half a dozen years ago. But would it have hit me like a wrecking ball 6 years ago? Guaranteed not. I wasn't even close to accepting, right? I would understand the breaking of the wild horse. I would have probably have gotten that part, but I think it would have brought the resentment up in me. But because I'm further in the lessons, it brings up that compassion. It brings up that reasoning and the answers to why why did this happen, or why is this happening, or right, why am I sitting in this place that I am right now? Why is it so important for me to delve into some of these subjects? And why are some of these subjects consistently, without me searching for them, right? Just dealing with what comes across my path. Why are they coming across my path consistently? Consistently, right? Because I haven't gotten those lessons yet. Maybe this is the lesson I was missing, right? In this experience for me, because this is my own experience, right? It's full of lessons that are pulling me forward, right? I'm not stopping in that. I have come across deeper and more heartbreaking, right? Understandings in this process. This is just this is just another piece of the puzzle. This is just something else that I need to absorb into my system, take in the lesson, have that understanding imprint on me so that I can move forward, and not in a hyper vigilant way, not like, oh, who's going to do that to me again? Because this is my life, right? I want to enjoy this life. But I would like to recognize when I'm stepping into that doo doo, when I'm right, when I'm walking into these relationships that I would have a better idea of, right? Is this a good relationship to experiment and experience in, right? Even if it's just for the moment, or is this something that, right? And feel it out. It's true. I have to trust my feelings, because this was something, and this again, this lesson comes from The Alchemist that I just popped in just to watch. I wanted to come in here at 10 o'clock, which I did. I wanted to come in, and I just had enough time to catch another lesson and have a cup of coffee. And I was sitting here. I'd never had this lady. Maybe she did come across my path. At least I recognize the name of her brand, The Alchemist. I do recognize that. But that had no indicator for me whether she was male or female, and I just thought, right, that was a male probably, right? So grateful for the lessons that come across my path, right? This is my experience, right? This is my experiences until each one of us, right, has that revelation of how they're moving or why they're moving, right? Or who's dictating or what's dictating that movement, right? It's in our choices. And you can be somebody under somebody's thumb. You can be standing next to somebody as their confident, partner, friend, lover, sibling, daughter, right? Neighbor, just a member of the community. Each one of us has that choice, right? But it's our choice, and it should be our choice, right? Intention, right? We are responsible for our intentions. And that should put a stop to somebody or something else dictating somebody's action to do, right? The dirty work that they are, well, you could say dirty work, but maybe it's in our insecurities. Maybe it's in our shyness, even, right? That we, right? So this is still a good lesson. And it's still, we are responsible for our intent, right? Because if we're introverted, if we're shy, because I did this, right? I was pretty masterful at this, right? And in my need to keep my movement going, right? Yeah, I did. I did let people think that it was their idea in helping me out. But I don't think I ever did it at anybody else's expense except for the experience of the person that I influenced to do it for me. So, right, I have to say, I'm grateful that whoever, whatever was watching over me in that moment, right, steered me away from using those tools, right, ever, or, right, I'm not saying I never did. Probably, most likely, right? In that influence of others, not knowing what I was doing, not understanding that I was responsible for somebody else's action because it was my intent that they were going to be responsible for my action. That would have to be on me, right? That would have to be on me because I intended, right, not to do that, even if it was out of fear, even if it was out of shyness, right? Even if somebody said, do it or else, right? But keep in mind, that person who said, right, that person who influenced, that makes me responsible. And oh my goodness, right? I've had a lifetime of not having to be responsible for when I influenced to get somebody else to do something that I didn't want to do. Oh boy. Right? Good example. And I'm just going to send some good cheer. I just have the fire department and the paramedics have just parked in front of the street. I always send some good cheer. Let's hope it's a false alarm and they move back to the station. I live right behind a fire station here. So yeah, let's be optimistic that it's a false alarm, right? Or at the very least everything is okay. Okay, so seeing that distracted me from what I was having to say, right? See, I'm still smiling over that, right? Because we get used to this over time. This sure beats, right? The trauma, right? The rejection, the bullying, right? That has happened in my life. It's right. I've gone through worse. And even though I've gone through worse, I have to say it's a gift for me because in my entire life, all I ever wanted was those answers, right? To have those whys answered, right? I'm having an experience, just like everybody else there is having an experience. And I'm grateful that anybody that pops into my lives and sits with me in my experience, that you might get something out of that, or at the very least, you might be able to recognize when you might have to make a detour, that you might have to make a different decision, right? That you might have to look at that influence that somebody's passing on and look at it as, right, possibly manipulation, right? To get somebody else to do something that you don't want to do. And in the end, it hurts somebody, right? And in that intent of doing that, it's going to have to be an action. It's got to have to be an action. There's too many innocents out there paying prices for something that they were encouraged, influenced, taught, or programmed to believe, right? On behalf of somebody else. Okay, you guys. I think that's out. Experience. You know, I usually come in with these positive, because they're positive words, right? Tonight I came in and, right, I felt that little bit of, right? But also at the same time, I felt, oh, right, I wasn't wrong in my thinking, right? I knew that all the time. Why didn't I not trust that judgment? Why didn't I take that as a truth? Why did I do that for them? I knew it wasn't right, right? Makes me feel pretty good. It makes me feel pretty good. Why? Because, well, it's going to be a little bit tougher next time, right? To get me to do something that I don't want to do, or what I know is not true for me, or truth for who it's being directed at, right? I am my own parent. I am, right? I like this idea of delving into the whys, delving into the things that cross my path, the things that make me stress, things that make me worry, right? Why? Why is that? Why is that nothing for some people and so devastatingly important to me? It's because it's in my experience. It's in that it's in that experience. And that experience is either going to move us forward or it's going to stop us in our tracks. And I'm looking out at the world, right? Looking at some people and looking at some of the influence in their lives. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, is that what happened? Food for thought, you guys. That's food for thought. Food for thought, the very least for me. Okay, you guys. That's got to be my good cheer. That was a good one, right? You might not think so, but for me, in my experience, that's a good one, because I'm going to sign off now and I'm going to finish this lesson, and then I'm going to check her out, see if she needs to be somebody I need to subscribe to. Everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.